I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is Project Architect 2. So today we're jumping back into some more Project Architect 2, and I gotta tell you, today's gonna be a very interesting episode because we are gonna be going after some Rs mobs in a very cool way. And not only that, I plan on capturing some mobs in a very interesting way as well, utilizing Ars Nouveau. Now this is all a requirement for the Wild Hunt chapter, which is this right here, and we have almost everything done outside of the Dimensional Slayer, which we need to capture some mobs in some containment jars and farm them. And then we also have the Wilden task, which requires us to kill all these mobs, including the Wild and Chimera 20 times. And then we have this one, which is going to be one of the harder things to do, which is capture a Chaos Guardian in a jar. Yes, you heard me right, capture a Chaos Guardian in a jar. So first things first, we are going to need to go after some Drigmies. And we also are going to need to go after some RFTools Dimensional Blobs. And with that, we should be able to get set up the kind of infrastructure to farm these blobs and hopefully be able to get enough of these items over a nice period of time. Now, getting Drigmies is kind of a process, but I do have a location saved. So I think I set a new location, which is Plains, which is over here. It is dark right now, but I kind of want to wander around and we should see these little bearded individuals, I guess we could say. Aha, for example, right here. And I did mention they are small and they are also horned. I should have mentioned that as well. But you just need to toss down a Wilden horn and they should detect that there's a Wilden horn nearby and grab that Wilden horn, do a little dance, and then pop. When they pop, it's kind of hilarious. But this will turn into a Drigmy token, and we need to use this Drigmy token to make the Drigmy charms, which you can see right here. And I'm going to need several Drigmies for this operation, so I'll be doing a bit of this farming for a little while. And boop, and boop. There we go. And poof for that one, and also poof for this one. We're getting there. So it is kind of nice that these guys spawn in sets of 2, it seems like, at least. So I'm able to grab a couple of these. Ooh, these guys did it at the exact same time. And you also get more than one. So we're at 13. I would love to have like at least 16 of these up and running. Now, instead of hunting for them, something else I guess I could have done was use the Shady Wizard. But I will say the wizard is very shady and doesn't always offer this token. So I would have had to have looped through multiple times of these villagers to have found one that is actually selling this. I will say the Shady Wizard can trade you, I think, almost all of the charms, which is actually really nice, especially since it can be kind of a grind finding these things sometimes. Now, I think I can set this up right here, and if I put the Drigmy token down in the list, that should work. Create that, and I should be able to add that to the pre-existing automation that we have. And I think that will work. Let's go ahead and try it. It may break. I have to put these items in. But I think we have all of the stuff ready to go. It put it all in, and there it goes. So yeah, our automation still functions. Oh, that is so good. So if you missed out on that automation episode, be sure to check out the episodes where I do cover Rs in the series, because this automation for this is fantastic with Applied Energistics. Now, after all of those have crafted, I also want to make a creative source jar. So to make a creative source jar, we are going to need a final star. One of our final stars we have. I will eventually get these automated even further because we're going to have a lot of them for the actual end game. But this gets placed in and it takes a full source jar and then produces a creative version. This is gonna be nice for just carrying around, allowing us to do these rituals very, very easily. But I'm about to show you how the capturing works. It's so cool. So that should get sent back in. And we now should have a creative source jar, which should unlock our quests. So I'm now in my Industrial Foregoing RFTools dimension, and this is where we're gonna find a lot of blobs. And I think the more complex the actual dimension is, the higher chance you have of seeing blobs actually spawn in, or maybe it's the higher the RF cost. But either way, I have noticed that blobs do spawn quite frequently here. Of course, once we're out of the range of our mob spawner, or the torch that prevents mob spawning. But yes, I'm going to continue my search, and as soon as I find one, we are going to capture it inside of a containment jar. For example, here's one. And so what we're going to do is place a containment jar, place our ritual brazier nearby the mob, And we're going to use our tablet here. Now, here's where I don't think we actually need source for the first capture. But if you're going to be capturing more mobs, then I think you do. So let's try it without source for right now and notice how it actually works. But if you were capturing more, every mob after that was actually going to need source. You can see it actually says need source or source needed right here. Beautiful. But now we can actually pick up our mob, which is contained inside of a jar. And we've contained our first common blob. Now, searching for these mobs can be kind of challenging, but with the Archimeat, we can actually get this thing to tier up by feeding it. So if you read on here, it says blobs eat meat. So you just keep right-clicking on here, and eventually it will turn into a rare mob. And we'll come back to this one here in a second. But place this down, place the jar nearby, activate the brazier, and contained it is. And by the way, this is a tablet of containment. That is the ritual that we are using for this. And the ritual braziers, of course, with the containment jars. Beautiful. So that one's done. And so we'll do the same thing over here, but we're going to get this one up to legendary. You just got to be careful, because if you feed them too much, they will explode. So just bear that in mind. I'm trying to be very careful clicking, because once it hits legendary form, you don't have very much time left or very many clicks left before this thing will pop. And when it does pop, by the way, it does pop into a bunch of the components. So kind of a funny little Easter egg that was added to the pack. But let's place the brazier here, containment jar, ritual, light it, and there we go. Now, you may be, this right here is to kind of help you kind of understand how to use this stuff, because you're going to have to do it for the, this block is so broken. You're going to have to do this for the Chaos Guardian. And that one's a little bit more challenging to do, I will say, because you kind of have to know where it's going to spawn. Also, by the way, this is what I was meaning by using this on the mobs. They will explode and they burst into a bunch of this essence. So you do get a lot of essence from doing it this way. So really, if you wanted to farm it this way, you probably could. Yeah, man. I mean, it is a good way to get a lot of essence. So now for the actual mob farm setup. I want it to be in the center of this room, and of course, it's a mob farm. So since we've been kind of messing around with all different types of mob spawners and killers, I think that this right here would be the perfect fit, placed right in the middle of this room. So I'm going to place this barrel right here. I'm going to get this kind of upgraded. And what we're going to need is, for the Drigme hinge, we are actually going to need mossy cobblestone. So 1 block of mossy cobblestone will get this started. Now, I typically like to keep all of my Drigmes in one central space. So to be able to do this, we can use glass or trapdoors. If we have, do we have glass trapdoors? I think we might. But yeah, some glass trapdoors would actually be really, really nice. Looks like Create has some. Actually, you know what? To keep with the theme, I think I'm going to go with these mangrove ones because they look kind of cool. But what I'm going to do is make this too tall so that way the Drigmes can't jump out, but they are contained within this single block space, which is exactly what I want. And they'll still work with anything that is nearby. So I'll set this up like so. It needs to go 1 higher. Just to make sure they don't walk out, because they will try to walk out after a certain point. And we're all going to have all of them kind of contained inside of this single block area. Now, we can go ahead and get our blobs placed in. So I think what I'll do is have them placed right here on the side. So I'll do them in tier order, just like this. And same on the other side. And I did go ahead and farm up a little bit more. So I'll have this here, and this here. I love how the legendary just sticks out like that. But they will farm this, and all of their drops should go into the inventory that is connected to what is going to be the hinge. So let's now get our R's and get the Drigme right there. So perfect. And then I'll right click the first one onto the hinge, and we'll notice some stuff start to happen here. And that turns into a hinge, and the Drigme now spawns. And then once it's spawned, we can right click on the hinge to spawn in all the other ones. And now, after that is done, we probably want to place down our creative source jar. So I'm going to place that nearby, and they will actually pull from the source that is here to work, and the drops should end up inside this barrel. Now, the more of them that you have, of course, the faster it's going to go. And the more variance in mobs that you have, the faster it's going to go as well. So this right here is not the fastest in the world, but if we added more mobs, it might potentially be. But we'll have to check in. The more you stare at this, I swear the slower it goes. But notice right there, it just spawned them all in, which is very nice, and is probably just from one of the Drigmies. Now I decided to pop out and start to grab a few more mobs. Now, the more mobs you have in there, the faster it will go. But there's also another thing that you can do, which I think is kind of hilarious. You can go ahead and let's place the ritual in. You can actually capture in a jar lightning bolts. And I think I should be able to get by with it by using a charged snowball. Let's see, that did not. Oh, I ended up placing that in the jar. Let's see, it's running. I did not capture that. So maybe this, oh, nope, I caught it. There we go. So yeah, you can catch lightning bolts inside the containment jar, which I think is hilarious. And it says lightning in a bottle, which I don't know, just a funny little Easter egg. So now this isn't going as fast as I was hoping it would go. So I'm trying something different here. So instead of using mobs that actually have drop pools, for example, like this, we could use something like maybe lightning, or these arrows that are considered like entities that don't necessarily have a drop. And it will still speed up the mobs. So in here, I'm containing withers. These don't exactly have drops, but we might be able to contain them. I don't even know if like item entities count because it looks like it's also collecting those. So after a bit more research here, I did get all of these placed in. I'm just kind of judging the speed and how fast this goes. And it is definitely not at the par that I originally thought it was going to be. And I really don't want you guys to have to go out and manually farm these for like an incredibly long amount of time. So this quest in the latest update will be updated. The values have been changed as shown, basically removing a 0 essentially off the end of these numbers. And these are definitely farmable. You could do them by hand if you wanted to, or you can just let this run and this will definitely meet that standard before long. Which is pretty interesting. I think I'm going to do a little bit of both. I'm going to do a little bit of manual farming to get to those values. And I also want to show how I can do that with modular routers and actually keep myself supplied with a certain amount of, for example, Archimeat, which is going to allow us to go farm some of these blobs. So let's go farm some blobs. And to do this, I'm going to use a modular router with an EMC link. This is going to be pretty cool. So an EMC link just to simply supply us with the Archimeat, which we're going to need in constant supply. And then I'm going to need the modular router upgrade regulator module. And this is going to make it so I only keep so many in my inventory at any given moment. Because we don't want to flood our inventory with these items. So I'm going to place a modular router down and I'm going to go ahead and let's see, use a puller module to pull these items into the buffer. And this is going to be the Archimeat, right? And so the puller module is going to pull from the top. Very simple. Nothing has to be filtered there. And that should start pulling this in. And then if we, of course, add this in, the speed upgrades, you can see those are going to go in nice and quick as well. And maybe some stack upgrades to top that off to make it go even faster. Beautiful. So now on the player module, this allows us to control our inventory and manipulate it in different ways with modular routers. So I can actually take from here. So you can see from router to player and main inventory, or you can go main inventory, no hotbar. We actually want main inventory and we do want the hotbar, but I want the regulator to keep a stack of 64 in my inventory. For example, right here. So if there was a stack in here, it's not going to fill anymore. So let me get rid of this. And then we place this in here and notice I now have a stack in my inventory, but if I toss it out, a new stack reappears. So that's exactly what I want, which is going to be very helpful for farming these mobs. Of course, we can turn this off when I don't need this anymore, but this works cross-dimensionally as well. And I'm going to utilize my backpack here, and I'm also going to utilize some of the stack upgrades. So let's put those in here. And then I can just toggle this on and we can now go farm some blobs. Now at night, I do notice a ton of these spawning in my palette dimension, but of course blobs are going to spawn in any dimension, so long as you wait there long enough. Okay, so back to my Industrial Foregoing area because I was having way more luck finding them here. And so yeah, so with my backpack enabled, I should be able to just get these guys grown up to the max size. And just like that, farm them by hand. Now, we won't have to do this for very long because of the values being changed, but I definitely want you to try and capture these things inside of those jars, so that's why the quest line is going to stay the way it's set up. Now, outside of the drink meats, I think this is actually a nice, cool way to show off this fun mechanic that we added to the pack. So, being able to go and actually feed these blobs the Archie meat is actually something that is kind of fun, honestly. And it's honestly not too bad. Look at this. So I think at that point, ooh, we almost have enough. Almost. I think maybe one more. There we go. And that, oh no, we still have a few more. Look at this, by the way. Like, I love this. There's so many right here. But we'll definitely have it at this point. I'm going to use my magnet. There we go. And perfect. Okay, so that, yes, is definitely enough of the blobs. So let's now take this stuff. Look at all the blobs spawning now. Let's take this back and let's turn it in. Now, I think this will be our first time utilizing a task screen from FTB Quests, but I should be able to go in here and I can change this. So I can go, what is my task? So this is going to be Blob, our essence, right? So we have all of our 3 different essences. And we can go ahead and get them turned in. So let's do comment. We'll set that, hit accept, and this now shows us what we have to turn in. Now I should be able to use my backpack, and I'll place the backpack down by holding shift and right clicking. And we're going to use an item pipe directly into the task screen. And let's see, I should be able to use a wrench. And that should automatically start pulling the only item that is in here that can go in here, and it'll start sending it in. And then we can put our speed upgrade in. And voila, our task is now complete. And so we can go in here for the next one and go, okay, let's do rare. We'll accept. That sent that in. And then last but not least, on the essence, we have our legendary essence. Oh, that is beautiful. Now for my next party trick, we're going to be working on the Wilden Butcher. Now, this is a couple different tasks, but one of them is to kill 20 Wilden Chimera, which is 100% doable. And I think I want to try and do all of them in one go. That sounds absolutely crazy, but summoning 20 Wildens with the flip of one lever. Now, it does require a little bit of redstone to kind of get this set up, and a few modular routers, but we should be able to easily set this up with a bunch of braziers. So this right here is essentially what's going to get the job done. So if we have a bunch of modular routers, let's go ahead and get 20 of them, 20 fresh modular routers. We can use activation modules, which will allow us to essentially right-click directly on to these locations. And all we have to do is send these modular routers a redstone pulse to do it. And I'm actually going to set this up pretty straightforward and simple. I'm using some cog blocks, and I'll put a lever on here to do the initial power, which is going to send one pulse, which will start the operation, and so on and so forth. Now, I'm going to put each of those individual items for this ritual in here, including the actual ritual itself to start it off. So there is going to be 4 items that need to go in this hopper. Now, all of these are going to need to be toggled into pulse mode, which I think we can just, yeah, we have to toggle through every single one of them, but they all have to be in pulse mode for this to work. And then I'm also going to have to make some activation modules. However, these are going to be pretty straightforward because they're just going to be left by default. We just have to define that the back is where these are going to be going, and the action is just going to be right click. Nothing fancy at all. So we can now modify all of them. Might as well do it all in one go, putting it in pulse mode and placing these items in. Now, when inserting these, we're going to make sure the tablet goes first, and then we're going to give it in each of these hoppers. This is just for the boss, by the way, one of each of these types. So that goes in first, and then we just need to make sure in each of these hoppers this goes in here. Now, I do expect these hoppers to actually get deleted, believe it or not. So whenever the boss spawns, it clears out an area, as I discovered in this series. So I do expect all of these hoppers to actually get removed, but we will just replace the hoppers. Actually, we might do a different system, but we should be able to replace the hoppers after the fact and use this ritual in a different way. So with this, it's the moment of truth. So I have my red guitar ready to go for this. So our first activation is going to start the ritual The next activation is going to insert the next thing. You can see that went in here. That sent that augment, and we got to get all 3 augments in. So here's the next augment. And then this is going to be the final augment. And then the last one is going to actually summon all 20 of these things. Oh boy. This is going to be interesting. So all of them should be activating, I think. It says awaiting. Oh god. Yep. And there we go. So we should be able to just simply hold down the button to kill the chimeras. Oh god. I'm just holding down my attack button. Oh geez. I'm getting moved around all over the place. But we've already gotten most of them killed. And look at all the wildens as well. Oh goodness. This is an absolute mess and I love it. So now it looks like the dogs we can't actually kill with our sword without changing modes. And I don't even remember what keybind I set to the modes. Okay, so apparently I put it... There we go. I put it on a numpad button. But this allows me to take out wolves, which are technically not hostile. But there we go. Notice how I said the hoppers were going to get cleared? Yeah, they did. And also our lever got cleared, which is kind of funny. But that should... yeah, have completed our 20 Wild and Chimera quest. Now, the next thing for us to do is we need to kill 500 of each of these mobs. So I do have the tablets of Summon Wilded in here underneath the same exact conditions. But what should happen now is whenever I pulse this a second time, I believe it should just pulse them. Oh, we may need modular routers that are just going to simply right click. Or I guess I could go in and just manually right click. What this is going to do is going to summon all of the individual types of mobs that you see here. Oh god. Maybe mistakes were made. But we should be able to just take them out like this. And they are going to keep summoning, by the way. Oh, just so many of these mobs. What I might want to do though, right, is actually get an activator on the outside as well. So what I've done is I've placed some modular routers on the bottom. I think this is going to get this to work. So unfortunately I can't use my scroll wheel here, but I'm going to place all of these in. These are just going to simply right click with nothing in the inventory. And I'll just carry over the signal here, directly underground, and that should be able to easily power those. So after getting all of the redstone connected to the bottom, now's the moment of truth. So that is going to initiate it and activate it at the same time. Wait, or did it only do a few? No, it did both. Oh, the timing is beautiful on that. Which makes this whole operation so much better now. Since it did toggle the operation there. Yeah, and it did it for all of them. Oh, that's even better than I originally thought it was going to be. Now, I did realize I actually don't need the hoppers since I did manually place all of those in there. But it is kind of cool to just be able to insta-summon all of these wildens like this. And of course, I could use a mob spawner to spawn all of these in. You can gather the eggs for them and so on and so forth. But this is just fun. Being able to create kind of clever spawners like this. I love it. So I've almost got all of these guys done with all of the howling. Oh man, I'm falling in love with the howling. It's so good. Oh goodness. All right, let's go ahead. I'm almost there. I've already got one of them done. We're 97% done. But I don't know. I thought this was kind of a clever thing. Not only did it satisfy our spawning of the wildens themselves, which of course we have wildens fully automated, this just also satisfied this quest as well, which is the Wilden Butcher and under the critical role. So now that I have all of that done, I think it's time to take off our cosmetic armor because we're about to get really, really down and dirty. We are going to be going after and capturing the Chaos Guardian. So for this, we're going to need a few things, a ritual brazier and the containment jar, and we're also going to need the tablet of containment. And we're also going to need some angel blocks. These particular angel blocks right here. So we can just place them in air, and so that way whenever we get there, hopefully we can have all of these things in line ready to go to be placed down. And hopefully we can get this thing going pretty quick because we're not going to have a whole lot of time. If we can't get the dragon from where he's actually spawning in and summoning in, then we're actually going to be a little bit limited, and we're going to have to wait a whole lot longer for him to potentially fly atop one of the obelisks. Now, something else that I've done is I kind of upgraded my soul stone here and took you guys' recommendations. You guys said put life mending on here. It makes it absolutely unbreakable at that point. So I shouldn't have to worry about dying during this fight. And we should just be able to contain the Chaos Guardian for the quest. And also it says, do not let it out. I will tell you, don't let this out. Don't don't. You'll regret it. Don't, you know what? What am I telling you what to do? All right, so we are almost here. I see the rings. This has now spawned in. Oh boy. I kind of don't want them to spawn in just yet because I do want to get a waystone here just in case. But now I should be able to get some height. And what I need to do, oh boy, is make my way up to the middle. The dragon should spawn in and I should be able to see where the coordinates are. Maybe I have to be a little lower for this to activate. I don't actually know. Yeah, I have to be on the ground. Okay. But I do need to fly up towards the center. And this is where the dragon will spawn, right here. I'm going to place this a little bit closer. Place this. One of these down and activate it. Oh! And I was so close. I was so close. But notice, by the way, the dragon is going to spawn down here. So I should be able to, like, place these every now and then. Like so. With our jars. Oh, man. I thought I only placed one jar. But I just got to place them around here and get them activated. Oh, man. That was so close. We were so close. If you get lucky and you get it captured there, oh, man, it would be great. But yes, notice how the dragon flies right about here, right about this level. And so if we can get this to this level right here, there's a chance. There's a chance we can capture the dragon. Oh, man. Uh-oh. But it's doing its thing. All right, let's leave. That's its charge laser one. Ooh. I do not want to be near that one. Oh, no. Okay. Whew. We were able to move out of the way. But yes, I'm going to have to get these like randomly placed in here. Which is kind of a pain now that we didn't actually get it on the first try there. But yes, the dragon will get contained, by the way. So if you notice the dragon disappeared. Oh, we got it. It gets contained inside of here. So we did catch it. Beautiful. Oh, that is perfect. And that is what we want. Now, the interesting part about this, right, is that a new dragon will spawn. So you can keep repeating this process over and over and over again. Because given a few minutes, the dragon will respawn itself, which is kind of an interesting part about farming it this way. But that, my friends, is the dragon in a containment jar. Just like I said, don't use the dispel on it. I mean, or do. I mean, it's all up to you, honestly. And by the way, just to prove that it does respawn, there it is. Yep, it 100% respawns. So now for the containment jar, oh man, we now have it done. So all I have to do is go in here and click submit. And I have now turned in the Chaos Guardian inside of a jar. That is actually insanity and such a cool little thing. I'm so glad we added that. But this completely beats needing to go out and actually fight the Chaos Guardian again, because I'm sure I'm not alone there in that boat where it's just not that fun to do it over and over again. And that quest also helps out a lot for servers, so you don't have to constantly go and find a new one every 10,000 blocks, because loading those chunks takes a long time, and it is quite an extensive process to get from one 10,000 coordinates to another 10,000 coordinates. But with that, we almost have everything ready to go in this quest. I am simply just waiting on a few more of the ender bits. We also have almost all of the wither spawn eggs. Those are basically what I'm fully waiting on. And then we still have to do this quest, which is going to be pretty darn fun to do, which I think we're going to work on next episode. These are already finished. So everything is basically done, including the hearts. All we're waiting on is the wither, a few more ender bits, and while we're waiting on those, we can definitely be getting that done, but that's going to have to wait until next episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. And of course, if you did, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and give this video a huge thumbs up. Hopefully you learned something new, whether it was about the R stuff, like I had mentioned, about how you can automate some of that R stuff and, you know, kind of make cool things. That's what I love about modded, is just being able to make cool stuff. So if you enjoyed, like I said, give this video a good subscribe if you haven't already. Comment down below, what's your thoughts on the Chaos Guardian? Because I thought it was kind of interesting myself, but let me know what's your thoughts on it. And of course, just to answer your question you probably have, do you get anything from running the Drigme on it? No, it doesn't actually have a drop pool. So nothing's going to be coming out of that, but I just wanted to mention that. And of course, now with that being said, it's time for me to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And with that, I'm going to give a huge thanks to Mabal. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. You guys definitely can read that. Thank you so much, by the way, for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting in one of the best ways possible. I do appreciate it. And of course, I will see you guys in the next episode. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye.